We're getting up close and personal with all your favorite celebrities on the hottest weekend party show in the city, the Abbie Knights Show.
What's up, y'all?
You're listening to all the hits on the number one party show in the city, the Abbie Knights Show.
Tell a friend.
And we're back, everybody, with a very special guest today, MPR Riche Rich. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good. Can't complain. It's the holiday season. New Year's right around the corner. You got any special or exciting plans? You performing somewhere?
Yeah, I actually got a performance, a little concert coming up on the 30th. And then besides that, just some little stuff here and there, appearances and things of that nature. So, yeah, I'm pretty much working
Grooving.
my moves.
Hey, that's always a great thing, you know. I feel like that's the best way to celebrate, though. You're staying active, proactive, all that good stuff.
Definitely. And then my family will be coming up, so I'll have all my kids with me and my wife and my mother and everybody else, like my cousins and stuff. So it'll be a nice little event as well.
It sounds perfect. Like the perfect way to celebrate the holidays and bring in the new year.
Definitely.
Work and loved ones. So, of course, I'm sure people ask you this all the time. I have to ask you about the look, because initially when I was introduced to you, who you were as an artist and your music, I was like, who came up with this? That was genius. Because one thing is, no one's ever going to forget you in life, ever. If they don't remember anything else, they're going to be like, yeah, you remember him, man, his look was dope. It was different. So what inspired that? Is that you? Did you create that, or did someone else kind of give you inspiration for it?
Yeah, I created it. What really ended up happening was I always was walking around and I felt like I was the GOAT. Like, I felt like I was the GOAT before I was doing music. Just anything that I do, like, I'm doing it to perfection and to a standpoint of, like, number one. Like, just always trying to make sure that I complete the mission and accomplish the goal. When I set a goal, that's kind of usually the purpose, is to be number one in it, So that's kind of where it came from. And I used to just tell people, and this is in the beginning of my career still, I'm like, I'm the GOAT, you know what I'm saying? And people like, nah, we can't really give you the GOAT, because they're going to name who they feel the GOAT. Maybe it's Jay-Z, maybe it's Lil Wayne, maybe it's Nas, maybe it's Diddy, whoever they think is the GOAT to them. You know what I'm saying? After so many of those situations of me having to be like, nah, they're the GOAT in their lane, I'm the GOAT in my lane, I was like, how am I going to make people say and ask me what is it versus me telling them
the one saying it
boastful? And I was like, nah, let me put some horns in my head, and then they'll have to ask me, because it's going to be so distinguished and look.
Exactly.
So
mission accomplished.
Yeah, so now it changed it from somebody or me having to tell somebody like I'm the GOAT to people having to ask me like, what is that? What does that mean? What is it? And when I say it's the GOAT, now it's like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So it just changed the narrative to making people accept it versus me having to tell it. And it's a story to be told.
Changing the game. I love it. I thought it was so creative and so unique. And like you said, it's the best way to be able to get your message across without sounding like you're trying to be arrogant or condescending about it, which is so cool. I did see a video you had with the Rams mascot. I was cracking up. All the fans were like gathering together to take pictures. What was that moment like? That was funny.
That moment was so crazy when I tell you. It made me feel like, oh, I need to be in LA all the time, because it was like one of those things that you don't know the reaction. You know what I'm saying? You're walking into it just doing you on a regular. I know how people react on a normal basis, but this was like a catered thing to people who's already looking for a horn. So it was like the mascot even was like, yo, I got to get a picture with you. the fans was like, I gotta get a picture with you. The players, like, it just changed the narrative to being like, yo, that is some of the craziest, dopest stuff I've ever seen. And it just made it so welcoming that it's like anybody who's a Rams fan is almost like, how could you not be a fan of this? I'm telling you,
Yeah.
before we parked, as we
Yeah.
were driving through, it's a line of cars.
Yeah.
Everybody that's passing us is like, that is amazing. Blowing the horn, beating, like rooting, like going crazy. It's one of the moments that you just can't forget. You just can't
Yeah.
forget that moment, and I'm just living in the moment.
It looked like it. I was cracking up when I watched it because I was like, when you talk about being unique, so many people out here, it's such a copycat world that we live in. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with social media, all the women want to look the same. All the rappers want to try to be the same. It's kind of like the music sounds the same. I don't remember if you heard T-Pain on his rant. And he was like, we don't need no more babies. We got a little baby, the baby. Like,
Exactly.
he's like, come up with something new. And then boom, here you are. You did.
Nah, that's fact. That's fact. And
Talk about the little meaning.
it's one of them things that was just ingenious. Like when I thought about it, like when I first did it, I didn't really understand the impact that it would have. And then after I got to talking to people, they was just like showing me that it's such impactful that it's almost like that one of one thing. It's like the McDonald's arches. You know those things every time you see it. It's like you can never forget that. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You always can remember. I'm pretty sure some people that done lost their whole memory. You show them McDonald's arches, they're gonna remember McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you show them a picture of me, they're gonna remember it. It's
You
so
are.
hard to not forget. And the
I'd be
horn
like,
growing, what makes it so cool is like they
Yeah.
started off like this long, and now it's just crazy.
got a whole life of their own.
Yeah.
If someone didn't remember you, I'd highly question their memory.
Like what?
If there was ever a person to remember, it's you for sure. Especially because your personality is so great too. Like I'm sure a lot of people, they might look at pictures and be like, oh, he's probably like a really serious dude, or maybe he's kind of
Yeah.
mean or kind of angry. And then you come across, you're like, hey,
Exactly. I just had an interview with the radio station yesterday, and they said the same thing. They was like, when I first met you and seen you, it was like I didn't know how to really approach you or what type of energy you was gonna have. And then it was like, but I seen your interactions with everybody in the room and how you just worked the room and how everybody
Yeah.
gravitated to you. It was like, okay, this guy's really cool. It's just you could judge a book by its cover, and then once you read it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's one of them type of situations.
Well, I think people do that too much in the world that we live in today. This society is so stigmatized, I think is the best way to say it, in a nice way,
Exactly.
Because one thing I love about the world and what makes it so beautiful is the different people and the different stories and the different walks of life, because experience is the greatest teacher and it sets a great foundation for character too. So
Definitely.
I always think that, there's too much judgment going on and not enough learning when it comes to approaching just a person as a human rather than a thing, right? So, all that being said, I can't talk today, look. Originally, you're from Detroit, and now you're currently living in Atlanta. What does it mean to you knowing the impact that you're able to have on people through your music?
That is probably one of the most important things to me, just because, like, when I came into music, I came in on the standpoint where I was trying to deliver a message. And for me, it's like the way I've grown and the way I've learned how to be me. Because when I first came into music, I was in Detroit, and so I tried to go with the Detroit sound and use certain lingo, and I tried to captivate the people through something that I felt that was relatable. So I had to grow into me actually finding myself and being me and delivering a message that I would really appreciate to deliver, and deliver the message the way I would want to deliver it, versus it being like, okay, I'm just trying to fit in to get in where I fit in type of situation. And I think that's like one of the most important parts to me, is that I'm able to influence people and able to deliver a message to people to let them know, like, there is a better day. There is a better way. There is a reason to believe in yourself. There is a reason to have goals. There is a reason to have dreams and turn them into reality. And I think that you can't beat that when it comes down to it, because the influence is all the way from children to grandparents. You know what I'm saying? So it one of them things that most people could only fathom or wish or think they could do it. And here today, I'm literally doing it every day and seeing the reaction from people from, like I said, toddlers to grandparents. And it's like, that's one of the most important things to me, because I'm delivering a great message and I have a great story. So me being on this platform, being able to do this, it just gives me more life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Authenticity is key. It
Right.
really is. As an artist, especially to be able to stay true to your core and your story as a creative is really, really special. And it's funny because you have a very interesting journey. So you were also in the military.
Yes.
Looking back on your journey so far, first of all, how'd you even arrive there? How'd you get to that? And what's been the most impactful, life-changing moment that you've experienced so far?
Yeah. So how I got into the military, one of the guys who was in my neighborhood, his cousin, I was dating his cousin at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he was actually in the military, and he had crossed over to become why did the word just slip my mind? A recruiter. So he had became a recruiter. So he had came back to the neighborhood and was like, "Yo," and was talking to everybody. You know, they do their ones and twos and just giving you the message of why you should or why you shouldn't, and what's the perks and what's the downfalls to it and all that. And it was one of them things where it was like, if you want to do something and get out and pursue something bigger than the neighborhood and do something bigger than what the city can appreciate you for, it's like, well, try something different and join the military. And I just took the opportunity at the time, and it was a great opportunity because it gave me a different light of who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna be honest, like just in Detroit, what I was experiencing, what I was living, and what I was around, as far as my environment, it wasn't for the betterment of me or my family or
Yeah.
to grow. It was just more of stagnant things, and you just doing what you're doing to survive versus it being like, okay, let's do something that's gonna make sense. And
Mm.
that's why I kind of chose to go into the military. And then one of the most impactful things that I've done in my life would probably be going into the military, because that kind of set a bar for things that I could do. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things in life that you can do. You can shoot to be anything you really want to be, but when you talk about the respect that the military has alone,
Mm-hmm.
United States of which we live in, is like, it's one of them things that you get honored for every day. You know, you just because someone knows, you know, they pay you respect, and that's deeper
Yeah.
than a face card or credit or anything. You know, it's just a different thing to appreciate, knowing that you did that and you went to go fight for the country and you went to go do something that everybody just has to respect, because you got to think it's what 1% of people
Mm-hmm.
go. So it's like you already put yourself in a whole different category in
Mm.
life, you know. And that's why when it even comes to the music, I know I can accomplish anything because I've put myself in certain rooms in certain situations that, I mean, you just realize that nothing's impossible. Everything is possible.
Yeah, I'm sure it had to change your perspective on life coming
Yeah.
out of that. Going into it, coming out of it, it's a completely different view on everything, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. I learned so much in it that, I mean, that's how I'm able to move like I move today, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the key things. Like, I had to learn a lot of powerful things that are only great for character building and integrity and things of that nature. Like, I learned a lot from that situation. Not only did I learn a lot from that situation. I got into a situation while I was in the military, so I had to learn from that situation from being locked up as well. So it's like the military definitely taught me a lot of things.
Yeah. I'm sure discipline is the top of the list because I don't know about getting up at the crack of dawn every day.
Oh, and then you got to think, I was a cook, so I had to get up before all of
Extra early.
and then I had to go to sleep after all of the soldiers. So I learned a whole lot about time and efficiency and just so many different key aspects that you could only learn from going into the military because of how strict and strenuous of detail and paying attention to detail that they are.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's been so great for you as a businessman now because it gives you such a different acumen and a different work ethic too, because time is money, as they say. So I'm sure when you have to be somewhere, you're probably a little bit earlier, right on time. You're on top of things. It's just a different world to live in, especially when you don't have a choice. It's not like you can get up and be like, nah, I really feel like being in that kitchen today. I'm going to need y'all to just give me the day off. It doesn't work like that.
Shows you so much. I mean, they show you a lot about life that I mean, the average person, we never would really experience it unless you went to the military. You know, it's got a lot of perks. Besides some of the downfalls, like there's just so many perks that you get. It's almost it's one of one. Like how else would you get these perks without going through that situation?
Impossible. That's why I always say experience is the best teacher, hands down. I mean, you can read a lot of things in a book, but to experience it in real life, you take it in totally different than you do in text. So let's talk about rapping a little bit. It's largely stereotyped today. You know, it's kind of like, you know, they say in acting, there's a cast type for it, right? So it's kind of like if you're a rapper, it's like, oh, I know what you do. What do you think is the biggest? I mean, I'm sure you've come across that so many times. I've been in those rooms and someone's like, hey, yo, you know, I'm the next big thing. It's like, what do you do? I'm a rapper. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. We'll catch you later. You know, make sure you give us your info. And you're like, but you didn't even hear what? Like you're waiting to finish your story. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about rap culture today? Because it's a different type of talent, one, to be a rapper, because people don't realize there's a lot that goes into it. Your cadence, your rhyme, the way you speak. There's a lot that goes into how you articulate putting a whole song together. And being able to freestyle on top of that. Like I can barely process my words when I'm reading them, let alone to be trying to listen to a beat and come up with everything and look at somebody in the face at the same time. So, you know, what do you think is the biggest misconception today?
I think one of the biggest that I notice right now is that the music is so reality versus it being entertainment. I think that's got to be one of the biggest misconceptions, and I think that's why a lot of the artists are getting killed and going to jail and being harassed and attacked because of that one factor, that because somebody put something in a song doesn't mean that that's exactly what happened or that's exactly how it went or that's exactly what they mean. A lot of the times it's what they feel versus what they actually mean. Music to me is like, it's a feeling, it's what you're going through, it's what you've been through, it's what you've seen. So I think that what happened is that they took it and kind of tried to transition it into, it's got to be so reality as well. And it's like, that's not the real thing that's going on, because when you talk about artists or rappers in general, they talk about drugs, they talk about guns, they talk about death, they talk about all of these things. If that was reality for them, then they would be self-telling on themselves 90% of the time, and everyone raps, and there's no way anybody's doing that logically, purposefully. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a major misconception that everything's real to the point down to the T. It's like some things are real and some things are real feelings, but 90% of it is just entertainment. And I think that's what's getting a lot of things going the opposite way. And when they introduced that whole drill scene, it really took it to a whole nother level, because a lot of these guys are trying to enact and reenact real life situations through the music.
Yeah, I think Jay-Z made a really good point in an interview that he was doing, where they were talking to him about a new project that he was putting out. And he said, we need to make being in love and being men cool again instead of being in the streets. And I felt like that was very impactful coming from someone like him, when you have so many artists that look up to him and the record that he set for himself and so many coming up after him, that I think it comes down to just being authentic. Like, we were talking about earlier, being true to who you are as an artist and not being what you think people want you to be because of where culture and society is today. So that's a really great way of putting that. Also, do you think, because I've seen your success has come a long way in a short period of time. I mean, you have almost 5 million followers just on Instagram alone. It's like no pressure, just a couple eyes on you. Like nowadays, they judge everybody for everything. It's like the lighting wasn't right, that was photoshopped or whatever. Do you find that as your success is growing and evolving, that your circle of people around you is changing at all?
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's changing dramatically, like, just because the growth is real.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I say, if I'm growing and I have 10 people around me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're all growing at different rates. We all age at different rates. We all think at different rates. We all move at different rates. I think that what happens is, once you get a certain momentum and things start changing, and we might have been tiptoeing at first. Then we get to walking. Now we get to speed walking. Now we got to run. Now we got to sprint. I think that when those things elevate like that, some people still want to tiptoe, but we got to be walking. You know what I'm saying? If you can't get on the same time and the same temperature, it's just like being in the military. It's got to be one march. It's got to be, we all on this front line if we are the front line. And I think that's where the separation starts to come, because the average person don't know how to speed it up if they have to speed it up. If everything's high pace now, this is what type of temperature we're on. But I think people get into the mode of comfortability and being around, and just, it's a whole different vibe. And I think that's where a lot of the things have changed, to where I'm like, dang, why everybody not moving on my type of time, or why everybody's slowing up or changing up or moving differently. And it's simply because everybody's not growing at the same rate. And my success and my story is still, at the end of the day, my success and my story. Whether everybody's around or nobody's around, it's still going to come down to being my story. And I think that kind of takes away from some people if they're not as strong mentally, as strong physically, as strong self-love and self-awareness in themselves. And I think that's where most of the people fall off, because it starts looking like, oh, the attention's on him, or oh, the money's coming towards him, or oh, the fame is coming towards him, but it's not coming towards me. But what's meant for me is what's meant for me. It might not be meant for you to be famous. And you might have been with me when we were regular, just like my mother is always going to look at me as her son. But if I'm a superstar, she's still not going to cross over and be like, he's a superstar. She may say it, but
She's going to be like, that's my baby.
Be there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think too,
happening.
have you found that in this, because I think it's always funny when people are always like, oh, you changed, you switched up, you're brand new, you're Hollywood because you think you pop in and you're better than the rest of us. But then it's funny because in a lot of these situations, like you were saying, people aren't on your type of time. But a lot of times they just want to come along for the ride when they're with you. They just want you to float them. It's kind of like, well, we were homies. We've known each other X amount of time. It's almost like you owe me this, as opposed to genuinely supporting you and being happy for you. Have you found that you've come across that too, where people feel like you owe them that part of your success? Like sharing that with them?
I don't see too many people really doing it in that aspect of like being blunt and saying it, but I think that it happens like subliminally, because I think the narrative is out there so much that it's kind of hard for people to just say it when I'm speaking on that anyway already.
Yeah.
Hey, people switching up, people doing this. So I think they're not saying it out loud, but it's evident and clear in certain situations that people, they want what's for you. And that's why I say it's like what's for me is what's for me, and what's for you is what's for you. Like I be the host you are, or could I be the interviewer that you are? If I wanted to and I wanted to do that, I could do that. I think that when someone sees and people around you see a certain level of success, it's always going to be some type of energy that comes
Yeah.
up that like they want to feel what it's like. Are they wrong? I can't really say that. But what I can say is you have to work as hard as me. You have to work harder than me. You have to stay consistent. You have to stay dedicated. You have to stay on your grind. You have to have your idea. You have to have your vision. You have to have your plan. And that's where your success is. If we came together and we said, okay, Richie Rich is trying to go do 10 award shows, and Richie Rich goes and does the 10 award shows, what was your position in his doing the 10 award shows? Did you say you were trying to be the PR to these 10 award shows? You were trying to be the manager to these 10 award shows? What did you want to do? But they're not setting their own goals. They're just saying Richie Rich is going to do this, but they don't have a goal for themselves. So they may not know what happened when he did them 10 shows and why he received what he received versus why they didn't receive what they received, because there was no goal, there was no vision. It was just, I'm here for the ride. I'm here to see if it works, because 90% of the people are automatically already doubting it. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it because it's a vision and he's saying he can do it, so I'm here. But is it reality that they really think you're going to make it and really think it's, come on now, it's 1 in a million people going to make it to my level.
Yeah.
This is 1 in a million. How do you say he's just going to be that one? I got to feel like I'm going to be that one. Everybody else around is like, I'm hoping he's that one. They have no
Right.
idea, because there's so many of us doing it and so many people trying, that we watch so many people fail, that they could only thing they could do is hope. I got the vision, so I'm really like, no, I'm going to do this no matter what. So I think that's where it falls at.
Dreams are meant to be big. And I hear Steve Harvey preaching on it all the time, where he says, God gave you a vision that wasn't meant for everybody else to see because it's just for you. And changing, you should change. And I don't want to be the person I was 10 years ago. And as you succeed, you should change and you should grow as a person. So, I definitely commend you on your journey so far, because everyone thinks that it's all glitz and glam and you're just out and you're kicking it. People don't understand you don't have a life. You don't get to sleep that much. You're always on the go. You work 10 times more than you would if you're employed by a company. But you're doing something you love. And to me, there's nothing better than that at the end of the day, than waking up and knowing that you're living out your dream.
No, definitely. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday, literally, and he was saying that he was pursuing to be an artist or whatnot. And I was just explaining to him, like, this, doing music in itself, like, I gotta be honest and say this has been one of the most strenuous journeys. Like, I was in the military, and this is way more strenuous because the military made sure that I was going to have a paycheck at the end of every 2 weeks. The
Right.
military made sure I was going to eat. They made sure I was going to have a housing. They made sure I was going to do a lot of things. Being an artist, I literally have to grind, hustle, and motivate myself, especially being independent. What I have to do as an artist, like, I have to get up and motivate myself. I have to get up and hustle for myself. I have to do everything because I'm independent and I've never had a deal. So that's the whole thing, that it takes the grind in you. It takes your money. It takes your time. It takes your motivation.
Everything.
It takes your dedication. It takes no sleeping. It takes long days, long nights. It takes a lot of free shows, a lot of free walkthroughs, a lot of dealing with a bunch of people that have no direct money or anything for you but for you to be in this room.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of these people don't understand that we do so much. Not only do we have to be the ones that give back, you know what I'm saying? Like, you not even getting anything and they still like, hey, you should be giving back. So you're doing toy drives and you're doing feeding the homeless and you're doing, but I'm not receiving anything for what I'm doing, but I'm still showing my appreciation to the people, because you have to be a public figure and a people's person.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of things before you're ever receiving anything. And even then, people are still saying, are you giving back? And it's like they're missing that the hustle you have to have for this and the time you got to put into this. No 20-hour shifts is like you're 24/7. This is no breaks. Like,
No breaks,
yeah,
no days off.
I honestly think my dreams are about the same thing that I'm doing in real life. So it's really like I'm never really taking no days off, because when I get up, I'm thinking on the same time. Like, and not to include, like, you have family, I have a wife, I have kids. I'm like multitasking with businesses and doing all this just to keep afloat the career that I chose to take. And I think most people don't think when they're getting into it, like, they look at the glitz and glamour, the jewelry, the cars, the clothes, the fun, the clubbing. Like, I tell people all the time now, it's like, I'm not coming to parties and going to do shows to party. Like,
It's
this
business.
is my job. So when I'm coming in here, I'm working the room. When I'm coming in here, I'm making sure that ends are being met. It's not like when I was 16 or 17 going to a house party just to party, to drink and to kick it with my boys. I'm going there for business. 90% of the time they see me going to a club or going to an appearance or somewhere, it's all business with me. I'm passing out stickers or marketing material or talking to people strictly about music. That's not me going to have fun. And I think that's the biggest misconception about it, is that they think that it's just this fun. The music video is fun. No, that music video is 12 hours of work. They're tripping. And that's work that I got to pay for. I'm the only one
On top
paying
of that.
to work. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying to go to the club. That's working. I'm paying to work. And I don't think people get that part of it. But I think that's what makes it so cool, because when you know it and you can deal with it and you can live within it, then you can get the success out of it. But I think that's where a lot of people quit at, is they realize that they pay to do all the work. And that's what the artist does at the end of the day.
The process, when you live it, it's so different than you ever would think it is. I know, did you ever see that viral moment that went out with Drake, where he said he went back, I think it was to the same club where he got one of his first paychecks. They paid him $100 to perform on stage. And I think he gave, I want to say it was the DJ over there, somebody, $10,000. And he said it was, it was very humbling coming back full circle to a moment like that, when he was performing for only $100. And people would never think that, because you look at Drake and you're like, oh my God, he's a billionaire, he's so successful. But the journey to get to that point, it takes from you emotionally, it's super draining, psychologically, physically, not to mention it's taking away time from your family and your loved ones. You have flexibility in your schedule, but technically you don't, because sometimes things come up and you just have to do them. It's not like you get to just be like, nah, I'm off. You know what I'm saying? Don't call me till I'm back at work. Like, nah, this is work.
Exactly.
Work is now.
No, everything is all work. It's all about that work ethic. And unfortunately, I haven't seen that, but I'm going to go actually look that up, because that's a big thing about me. I'm a big researcher. If somebody tells me something that's interesting, I usually go look it up, because it's all about learning and understanding why someone else is doing something in your field, and that feeling that they got for doing what they're doing, because I know my own truth and I know what I do and how I feel about certain situations. And, it's just one of them things that you never stop learning in this field, in this game. Like, it's always something new happening and so many things that's trending and so many things that's changing that it keeps you literally on your toes. You're never at a point where you just feel like, okay, I accomplished everything, because it might be a new platform that come out. It might be a new stadium that arises. It might be a new wave that comes. And it's like, as a person that's doing this for their lifestyle and they believe this, you don't leave nothing on the table. It's like, let me go figure that out. Let me go pick that up. Let me go learn this. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes it so fun about it, outside of the work that you do, is you with the vision and it being like, I can accomplish anything that anybody else done. And I think that's where my work ethic comes from, because I stay on my toes all the time.
Yeah, you have no choice but to do that. I mean, you went basically from the streets to your dreams. Do you ever have days when you sit back and take it all in and it feels surreal to you to see yourself in this moment now?
No, definitely. Like, definitely. I do that from time to time. And I think the only reason why I really do it is because sometimes you look at things, and I think when it gets hard and you're like, dang, I'm doing just so much, but you're not getting the gratification for it. And I think even the bigger artists, the Drakes, I think he has to sit down too and be like, there's not gratification for some of the things that he does. And I think that's when we get to sit back and be like, wow, really, I'm really here. I really have accomplished this. I really have done this. You only have those small windows of time that you sit and be like, dang, I'm doing everything right and everything's going great. Like, how did I really get here? Because I know where I was at. Like, I was flat broke at one point. I was in prison at one point. Like, I know things from being in the hood. Like, I know things from a whole nother perspective that there was no way that I got here besides through God and knowing that I had a vision and I stuck with the plan. And I think that one part makes me realize, like, it's just up from here. Like, I can accomplish and go for anything that I really want to, because I've grown to know that I got a second chance and I'm living in it. And it's just a great day to understand that.
Yeah, it is. But the best part about it is the fact that you can look back and appreciate it and seeing how far you've come, because it makes the work that you do on a day-to-day basis worth that much more. I think so anyway. I feel like it'd be so much more meaningful.
No, it is. It's a great feeling. I can't lie about it. Like, the things that I've accomplished in the 9 years that I've been doing music, like, I know people that's been doing music way before me and had careers and have done stuff, and I just see my accomplishments at the end of the day, and I know what I'm doing and I know where I'm going, and it's just like, I never could take away from that, because I literally had to put the work in to get to this point. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was a walk in the park. Like, I know the time, the energy, the money, the effort, the situations and everything that it took to really get here. Like, nah, it's amazing. It's amazing to anybody, because I mean, even me having 4.95 million followers, like, I don't know too many people personally that has anything close to that. So when I look at it and I'm like, okay, for me to be able to accomplish this and to walk around and to still be normal and to still deal with so many people on a day-to-day basis and to still be humble, like, I know that it's a God at the end of the day,
Yeah.
because I know people who've been with labels, been under major managements and all types of things that hasn't accomplished that same thing. And there's no way that they don't know the same and similar things that I know. It's just, what did they work and iron out in their own career to get to where they got to.
Yeah, and getting up every day and just making it a point to continue being focused and working. Is it fair to assume that that is part of what inspired Live in the Moment? because you have a part in there when you say, Granny, we made it. So was
Yeah,
that kind of like a reflection moment for you when you wrote
that
that?
that definitely was, and I think that's why I actually came with living the moment, was because during that time we were just coming out of COVID and we had been away from our family, and it was like I was calling my grandparents and like, yo, we want to come visit y'all, and they're like, nah, we don't want to visit you, we don't want you to visit us, because it was
Yeah.
so much going on that everybody was so scared, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I think that's what inspires something like that, is because it's like everybody's so scared. Everybody's away from each other. Everybody can't do anything. Granny, we made it though. Like,
We're
but
here.
we're living life. We're
Hmm.
actually in a great position, in a great point. Like, a lot of people lost their lives, and
Yeah.
we're still here. And it's like, to know that, and that's where the visual comes from, because I brought my whole family to the situation. My grandmother flew out, my mother, like
Hmm.
everybody did all of these magnificent things, to where the average person would have been like, okay, if I'm going to Miami, I'm going to get some Vixens. I'm going to have my guys with me. We're going to get the Rolls Royce. We're going to be on a yacht, be in Miami. But this was a family vibe. And that's like, I couldn't change that for anything. To
Yeah.
see her and to hear her happiness, and to, like, I just talked to her 2 or 3 days ago, and it was just like, that was one of the best times of her life.
Yeah.
Like, she's my grandmother, you know what I'm saying? So she
Yeah.
lived 2 times my time, and for that to be her moment to talk about, and everybody else that I talk to, they're like, every time we talk to her, she talks about that video shoot and about this
Yeah.
song. That right there alone, like, lets me know it's a whole different world that I just created and opened up, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a lot of us that have our grandparents at my age. So to have your
Yeah.
grandparents, to impress them, to make them proud, to make them have a moment to live and to talk about, I mean, you can't pay for that. It's just one of them things that I just check off as like, it's another accomplishment that is monumental, and it's something that is written in history now.
Yeah, there's no price you can put on that. I tell people all the time I'm not from this country, and I lost my grandpa a long time ago, but my grandma just passed this summer, and I always tell people you have to love on the people you love, because we always take for granted tomorrow's promise, but it's not, and you never know what tomorrow's gonna bring. So I think it's so amazing that you took the time to basically to elevate and to show people what's most important in your life when you're talking about what life means to you.
Right.
So that's amazing, because that's going to be there forever. That video's
Yeah.
done. It's always there. It's always going to be a memory that you share with your family. I love that. How would you, because you're very different from a lot of what I've experienced with independent artists, how would you describe yourself as an artist? Because I feel like you're not the type of person you can put in a box, because you're so different. Just your
Yeah.
perspective, your life story, where you've come, the way you view things, what you value. So how would you describe yourself? Can you?
That's why I just go with the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Like,
That's
I want
it.
to be the greatest of all times. I think it's so premeditated that
Yeah.
when it gets done, when it's all said and done, right? It's like, we have so many monumental people when we talk about the Michael Jacksons, the Princes, the
Yeah.
Little Waynes. You know what I'm saying? You got all of these monumental names, the Jay-Z's, right? And me knowing everything that they went through before me, because I'm able to study and learn history and understand things. You know what I'm saying? Me knowing everything that they've done, and that some of them still are doing, it's like my elevation to it is so in depth because of the times. I'm so ahead of the power curve because of the time. They didn't have social media. I have social media. Imagine
Right.
Michael Jackson with an Instagram.
Probably a billion
He's out
followers.
Instagram. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because of his impact, because of what he's doing and what he did. Like, it was hands down. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? People like Prince, people that did certain things with their style, their look, their appearance, their flavor, their influence. Like these things that we're talking about is so monumental because you're talking about an independent artist, never had a deal, doing everything itself at 5 million followers. How do you compare him to an industry artist that doesn't have 5 million followers or one that has 6 million followers? It's like that doesn't even compare. You
Or
can't
you have a
even.
machine versus a solo, like an
It's like
independent person
5
doing
million
everything.
independent should probably be 20 million
Yeah.
with a machine. You get what I'm saying? So it's like that's where you get me trying to really understand my position and just understanding like I'm the GOAT. Like what else would you want to compare me to? And I've shown over and over again that anything that I'm touching, I'm making gold. I'm making it happen. I'm not gonna let up. I'm pushing things to the limit. I live in a moment. They looking at how I promoted, how I marketed. No one's ever done this as an artist. Even the A-list artists aren't doing what I'm doing as far as promotion and marketing and pushing something to
Yeah.
this level because they don't have the opportunity to. There's two different worlds that we're both living in. I'm appeared to be them because of the following, because of the nature, because of the accolades and the things that I'm doing. But we know they have to get certain amount of albums out. They have to get certain amount of songs out. They have to do certain
Yeah.
interviews. They have to do certain concerts. I don't have to do anything but
Yeah,
get
that you
up
don't want.
day
Yep.
to day and keep doing what I want to do. So therefore, it's like when I'm living in the moment and really understanding that this is another type of level, like this independence that I'm on, because I've never had to get in a bad situation, or I never had to burn bridges, or I never had to separate and get blackballed or get looked at like I'm not with the label. I never had that situation. So when you talk about how do you really describe me, it's like it's one of one. It's not anything else. If it was something else out there, I would know about it. We would know about it because it wouldn't be a big ordeal that I was doing it. But I'm knowing every time I pull up to different situations, it's like, okay, your look is crazy. Your promotions is crazy. Your marketing is crazy. Your song is crazy. Everything you're doing is crazy. Your family is crazy. Like you're doing so many things. Your business aspects is crazy. You've been in the
Yeah.
military. You come from Detroit. You're in Atlanta. You're out in LA. You're in New York. You're in Miami. Just who's doing this much stuff? It's just not.
You.
It's almost impossible. But
Just
we
you.
know that it's possible because I'm doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you're setting a new standard for yourself, and also for the way that people are viewing work ethic for an independent artist. That's why I always say there's either work or excuses. You either get results or excuses. It's one of the two. There's really no gray area there. So, I mean, with where you are today, who would be your dream collaboration? Do you have one?
My dream collaboration. One person, it would have to be between Lil Wayne or Drake.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you and Drake would vibe really well. I don't know him personally like that,
Yeah,
but
I think it would too.
yeah, I've worked on that last series of videos him and 21 Savage did. And Drake is very chill and he's very business. He
Yeah.
shows up on set, he's about the work that needs to get done, and he's out of there. But everyone I've ever talked to always says that he's one of the most humble, kind people that you'll come across, especially when it comes to work environment. So that's pretty dope. We're going to speak that into existence then. We're going to put it out there, that
No.
one day that's going to happen for you.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna happen. To me, it's a matter of time. Like I'm
Timing is
still,
everything.
I'm still at like the tip of the iceberg. Like I'm just getting my feet wet.
Just now, like literally just
And
now.
it's like a person that's just getting their feet wet to say, will I ever link up with Drake? It's just a matter of time. Like I feel like the top of the top would be like a Jay-Z in this current day with the people, and it's like I know for a fact that it's gonna happen. It's just when and why it happens.
Yeah.
It's not if it's gonna happen to me. It's just when and why. And I think that I have to do certain things and prove certain points to get that
Yeah.
act happen. And I think once they all get the win of what's going on and
Mm-hmm.
why it's going on, how is this person doing what he's doing and standing on it the way he's standing on it? I mean,
One
it's
of
just a
one.
matter of time.
One of one, like you
Yeah,
said. I mean,
it's a matter of
you
time.
can't duplicate something like
Yeah.
that. You know, you can be
Anybody not
imitated but
trying
not duplicated.
to me, anybody not trying to work with me is really a disservice to them. I'm not bringing anything to the game that's not accepted. I'm not bringing anything to
Yeah.
the table that's not edible. This is all genuine work ethic and genuine positivity. So it's like it's just a matter of time to me. I know it is. It's and the time is getting closer and closer. Every day I'm reaching new plateaus and reaching
Mm.
new monumental moments. Like it's a matter of time. Like it's a
Well, it's
matter of
like you
time.
said, it's the vision, and what's meant
Yeah,
for you, nobody else can take. So, you know, it really is only a matter of time, which is super exciting. I always think the
yeah.
journey, especially when people say you can't do something, you're like, ah, cool, watch me. So,
I love it.
yeah, I
I
can't wait
love
to see how everything unfolds for you, especially in this new year. Before we head out, though, we have this game that we play on the show called Confessions. It's not a crazy game. Don't worry. People always get kind of nervous whenever I say it. They always kind of like swallow kind of hard and they look at me and take a deep breath like, what? But it's just funny questions with quick answers. You ready? It's only like
yeah.
5 questions.
I'm
Just
ready.
curious to see your perspective. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen in another person's house?
Funniest thing I've ever seen in a person's house. Ooh,
That's a good one, right?
that is a good one. Ah, oh, I know. Somebody had a like how I have this cheetah. Like they had a pig's head on the wall, and I was like,
Oh,
"This," and they're not a farmer. I was like, "This
that's
is really
different.
different."
Yeah.
What did you like? And it was a real pig's head, and it was just like, "You're not a farmer. You're from the city. I grew up in the city.
Yeah.
Now that's just crazy that you got a pig's head on the wall."
That's okay. Yeah, that's
Why a pig though? Out of all the animals,
why a pig.
like okay, whatever.
Do you?
I never even like. I never even asked the person like, what is the point of the pig's head? Because it was just so awkward that I was just like, maybe this is something you're not even supposed to speak about.
Yeah, that could be one of those things too. It's kind of awkward to ask. Like, so why do you have a pig's head up there? I don't know.
What is the pig's head about?
Oh, where would you like to time travel? Back to the past or to the future?
Ooh, I would probably travel, and I could still be who I am
Yeah,
today
you'd still be you. Yeah,
to the past.
to the past. Okay,
Yeah,
I like it. That's a good one. Which musician do you think would make the best teacher? Well, musician or artist?
the best teacher, Kanye West.
Ooh, that is a very interesting choice, especially right now.
I definitely think he would make the best teacher.
Yeah, he'd have a whole lot to be able to talk about instilling somebody. Got a lot of
I'm
life
trying
experience there.
to tell you, he would change the whole curriculum.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wasn't expecting that one. Would you rather to only be able to speak in rhyme or only be able to speak in alliteration?
Speaking alliteration,
Yeah, those are the tongue twisters there. Your favorite holiday memory?
favorite holiday memory would probably be last Christmas Well, that was last Thanksgiving. We had our family come to our new house, and it was just great vibes, great energy, and that was probably one of the best holiday memories that I have.
Yeah, that sounds pretty special. It's a big moment. You get a new
Yeah,
house, you've come such a long way, and to be able to share that with your family, I think that's definitely a meaningful full circle moment for sure.
definitely.
So what do you have coming up? I know if people want to keep up with you, they can go to Instagram. Your handle is MPR Riche Rich, correct? If they
Yes,
want to come find you on
MPR
there.
underscore Richie, RICHE underscore Rich. Some things I have coming up. 2023, I look to be doing a lot of festivals and a lot of like major concerts. I'm trying to get away from doing so many club type of situations. I'm trying to take it a little deeper into it. I'm actually trying to be like the undercard for A-list celebrities versus being like the headliner for independent artists because
Yeah.
I'm at a point where I'm like most of this is like showcasey stuff that is not my lane anymore because how I'm moving and what I'm trying to push off to the world. Like I'm there to me. I'm just trying to catch everybody up to speed. But I will be throwing at least one concert every month, like at the end of the month for the whole year. I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to hold on to that. I got a celebrity boxing match that we're
Okay.
we're doing that in May, and we're actually looking for the person. So we're supposed to be going live today at 9 to talk about who might be some of my candidates or who I want to box. Um, and then everything else is just I'm just working and staying focused and trying to push this "Live in a Moment" song till like I set the goal at 5 billion streams. So
If trusting your gut has gotten you this far, I think that's probably the safe choice. I'm just saying.
I think it's the same way.
It's
No
been
doubt.
it's been such a pleasure chatting with you today. You're amazing. I'm so excited for you. Dreams and visions are meant to be big. So I say stick with it. And I wouldn't waver at all. It's gotten you this far. It's going to continue to help you elevate and grow. So I'm so excited for you.
Thank you, thank you. I'm excited as well, and I love what you do. And thank you for bringing me on. And I mean, it's just up from here. We're gonna make history and keep going. Like this ain't the last time. This is the first time to
First of
me.
many, yeah. No, I mean, listen, I hope that next year at some point we'll be talking and we'll be like, you remember last year when we were talking about this, this, and this? Well, let me tell you
Exactly.
what went down this year. So I'm
That's my goal.
I can't wait. I'm excited to catch up with you and looking forward to your performances towards the end of the year. Everybody out there, if you guys want to keep up with where he's going to be at, because he's kind of all over the map all the time, make sure you follow him on Instagram for all the latest updates. Stream Live in the Moment, available on all streaming platforms right now. You heard what he said, 5 billion. So y'all need to run it up, show some love, leave a comment,
Uh,
like it, all that good stuff. We're going to take a quick
on
break,
repeat.
right? But we'll be right back. You're listening to the Abbie Knights Show.